We have the men group, we have the women, we have children ages 6 to 13, and we have teens and 20s ages 14 to 25. So if you would like to be a part of any of the support group, I encourage you, multimedia, if you could please project on the screen for me. Thank you. The details on how you can participate, register to be a part of this group, fill out the consent form. If you want your kids to also be a part of this, we definitely need to have your consent since they are minors. So please feel free, fill out the forms, and then join the group. I tell you, it's going to be great because you would feel like you're not alone. You have folks that you can lean on to encourage you, to support you in this journey, whatever it is that might be your desire, your vision, your goal, your aspiration, or even your struggles. We're keeping it real and just realizing that we cannot do this journey alone. We need each other. So please, please, please register and join us join one of this support group, and we'll be meeting later on by around 10:30 to 12 in the sessions. Each group will be meeting and just talking. Even if you just want to come listen, even if you just want to come talk, that is a place where you need to be. Awesome sauce. All right, just to also set your expectation, I talked about our session later today. I talked about all right, and tonight, this evening also, we will be taking the Holy Communion. So for those that would like to participate in that, you would also have the opportunity to join us. And we have our Pastor General Ayola. He'll be, taking us through discovering me in God's purpose. So later tonight as well. So there's a lot packed here. I'm hoping that you guys will stick around with us and, enjoy all of this. Again, I am hoping that you would invite your friends, family, loved ones, those in your network, to join us as we begin this morning's session. All right, so without further ado, I would like to introduce, drum rolls, introduce our speaker for this morning's session. Her name is Mrs. Nichelle Elizabeth Taylor, and I just want to give a quick bio about our wonderful, beautiful, God-loving, spirit-filled sister right here. So Miss Taylor has been, has 25 years successful track record in public speaking and training engagements. Nichelle's ability to captivate her audiences has allowed her to build a successful career spanning across many industries, fintech, software development, that's my field, healthcare, HR consulting, manufacturing, consumer products, retail, and government. She is sought after speaker. She's a trainer, mentor, and coach that prides herself in the philosophy of captain. Did I say that right? It's a Latin word.
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem, thank you. And it's translated as seize the day. She's affectionately known to her family and friends as Nikki. So feel free to call her Nikki. All right, determination and unflattering commitment to success has landed Nichelle Elizabeth Taylor many leadership roles, working directly with senior leaders at various Fortune 100 companies. She has consulted with and coached many corporate leaders and executives in talent acquisition, managing change, cultural diversity, conflict resolution, and implementing effective customer service initiatives. She is skilled in analyzing and interpreting organizational structures, developing strategic direction, and creating processes that add value, focus on efficiency, as well as meeting the company's objective. So Nichelle's goals are, as an HR and talent acquisition professional, is creating a strategic alignment of all the right people performing the right role at the right time to help achieve ultimate organizational success. Specifically, Nikki has held senior manager roles in the private and public sector for over 25 years, and this includes her work at Opportune, HCA Healthcare, Data Link Software, and US government both locally and internationally. She is a Los Angeles, California native and born into a large family of talent. Her hopes and dreams were shaped by her 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and a successful mother who worked in fashion design in the motion picture industry. Wow. Thumbs up. All right. Growing up in the suburbs of LA in San Fernando Valley, she would experience success early in drama, speak and debate, and collegiate basketball. Nichelle was given a great opportunity to play professional basketball overseas in Italy, Spain, and the Philippines and Japan. She values culture and diversity and has made it a life goal and mission to help the underserved communities, especially in the technology arena. She's an advocate for prison reform and works closely with the Equal Justice Initiative, NAACP, and the Justice Coalition. Nichelle enjoys community service and spending time with her 3 sons, Nicholas, Matthew, and Mark. All right, people on the line, show some love and welcome Mrs. Nichelle Elizabeth Taylor. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us, and I pass the ball over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to be here. First of all, I just want to thank my counterpart. We had a very interesting meeting. And I love the way she says, if you're not networking, if you don't text somebody and tell them about this session, you're probably going to be missing out on a lot of things, because your congregation and the people that love you so much put together something that I was so excited about it. I didn't, they gave me like 8 topics I could talk on, and I wanted to talk on all of them, but I knew I had just a moment, an hour or so or 30 minutes to spend some time with you. So I decided that I would touch on all of them, but just give you a real world presentation about what's behind the door, what's going on in corporate America, how corporate America is addressing diversity and inclusion, how it affects the talent acquisition and recruitment. I'm going to give you some tips on how to weave through the difficult process of recruiting. Very, very strong topic that I actually just completed a project in, and that's artificial intelligence within the recruitment process, and how to make your resume stand out so you can get past, I call them the AI screening gods or the AI screening cops, because it's a different world out there, and we've got to learn about it so that we can really make sure that we're capitalizing on the ability to present ourselves in a way where we're going to get recognized. We're also going to have a brief moment and talk about what's trending, what are the most sought after skills, and what are hiring managers looking for? What industries are seeking talent? And then what about the candidate? How can you be successful and make a good impression on your first encounter? Gen Z is always interesting to me because, as you can see, I have 3 sons. The twins, Mark and Matthew, are 22 years old, and my oldest son, Nicholas, is 26. I also have a stepdaughter named Mallory, who is 27. So I've got Gen X sitting right in front of me. So I'm very interested in what they should be aware of. Other generations entering the workforce or re-entering or trying to make a career change is always important too. And then also let's talk about some networking and recruitment and how best you should be utilizing different platforms to network and come up with solutions. Real quick, just wanted to know, are you gonna do the presentation for me, Fola?
Yes, we will be doing that. Multimedia.
Okay. All right, outstanding. So I'm going to take excellent time, and we're going to jump right into it because I've got a lot of information to share. So I love your theme, Discovering You in 2023. What's trending in talent acquisition? I'm going to give you some quick tips. Can you go back to screen number 1 for me real quick? I'm going to give you some quick tips and tricks on how to navigate through the process. One of the things that I do want to say for Discovering You in 2003 is that it's okay to remake yourself over. I think there's a beautiful gospel song that says, make me over, remake me, make me what God wants me to be. So all of us will come up with 2003 New Year's resolutions, but the one that I really focused on was exactly what I'm doing today. I'm actually going to expand out my career a little bit more possibly become self-employed and start reaching out to communities, underserved, talk about diversity, talk about hiring, because I do have a nice experience. I've actually been doing this. If I wasn't dribbling a basketball, the only thing that I've ever did was talent acquisition and human resources. I've never done anything else. So I'm pretty lucky. A lot of people will say, well, wow, how the heck did she have the opportunity to do that? She's so young and she looks like she has no, she's a very young lady. I'd like to reveal to you that I actually have over 30 years in the talent acquisition field. Again, if I wasn't playing basketball in the off season, I would be recruiting. And I had the opportunity, which is once in a lifetime, to recruit for the United States Navy during the Kosovo incident. So if any of you are in my age group and we talk about the Kosovo incident, you know that I must be over 50. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, let's get started. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things that surround diversity. So let's get into this one first. We're going to talk about the diversity and inclusion, robotics, and AI. We're going to talk about skills, competencies, what industries are looking for. So we went over that. You can go to the next slide for me if you like. And let's just jump right into it then. So job seekers are demanding it. What is it? They're demanding diversity. Let's have a real quick conversation about diversity. First of all, I do want to say I just got my certification a year ago from USF in diversity and inclusion. It was a high-level training session that lasted for 16 weeks, and I'm proud to say that I am certified. So that makes me someone who can speak on it in terms of the hot topics. So I'll tell you that it is one of the hottest topics in business world today, and that is workplace diversity. And while some trends emerge and seem to take over, only to be eclipsed by the next great theme, investing in diversity is here to stay. Job seekers nowadays, again, they demand it, okay? So if we talk about what diversity recruiting is a practice of hiring candidates using a process that's free and biased from or against any individual or group of candidates. It is still merit-based, meaning that it's based on your experience and what you bring to the table, but it aims to find the best possible candidate, but it's also structured to give all applicants, regardless of background, an equal opportunity. Now, diversity in the workplace is also very important because this is the ideal that your team should reflect the general makeup of society around you. We always say, I want to do business with people who look like me, or I want to work around people who look like me. So in corporations, they're doing their best, and staff should consist of a variety of different types of people from all walks of life. And we've seen that change very rapidly in today's work industry, where you have a lot of different backgrounds and experiences that would include not only diversity in terms of your racial or your religion, but also your gender. And I'm not going to touch on those today because it's very prevalent. It's just a subject that I'm not really an expert at. I pray on it every day, but just be prepared to know that the LGBT community is moving vastly forward in our society. In my workforce, it makes up probably about 20% of people who are in our organization as they self-identify. Okay? So sexual orientation and so on. So why diversity? Let's talk about why. Diversity and inclusion is important in talent acquisition. I'm going to break it down to you. I won't read word for word, but I'm going to let you know that when you have a diverse environment, it's competitive to the market. It's what everybody's doing. Most candidates, the very first thing that they're going to ask is, tell me about my sense of belonging and whether or not I'm going to be able to be my authentic self. I love that cliché word, authentic self, because every day I seem to be telling my boss, hey, if I can't be my authentic self, this isn't the place for me. Are they not seeing the slides? Hold on, you got someone who's saying they're not seeing the slides. I'll pause just for a minute. And let me know if you guys, can you guys give me a thumb up? Can everybody see them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, probably. All right, great. No problem. I just want to make sure everybody's able to see it. So diversity and inclusion is important as we talk about it. It's good for business. And in more ways than people know. It's going to drive a lot of different things. So I'm going to throw out some keywords that whenever someone is talking against the diversity charter, the inclusion, I want you to use these powerful keywords and remember them. That number one, it's innovative. It provides some very innovative solutions for companies who are struggling. It's creative. It allows for the company to achieve better results. It also contributes to better overall performance of the company. And here's one that you can't argue with, that you can always throw in that phrase, and that is it generates revenue. It also generates growth. And here's something that I'm so proud of as an African American woman: it solves problems. So whenever you are talking to someone and they're speaking about diversity and why and how and when and why do we need this particular situation happening in the workplace, I would like for you to remember the keywords. You can go to the next slide, please. Keywords are here. Again, if you take a look at them, look at what we're tied to as a race. I say this, that because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we really want to talk about the fact that you want to go to work and see people like yourself. And being a woman in technology, especially in the fintech industry, I'm probably one of few who is in my company. So we come up with all kind of diversity initiatives to help the company out. And I'm very proud to say that I'm part of the Black professional organization at my company, as well as WIN, which was Women in Network. And I am constantly pushing the agenda to highlight Black professionals that we are leaving on the table or just not recognizing. So a lot of the ways that I do that is I talk about the keywords, the revenue that it's going to generate, and how important it is to have a diversity charter. Again, 67% of most employees who walk through the door who are looking at jobs say that they want to know that their employer is considering diversity. A sense of belonging. Are they giving you well-being? Are they talking to you about inclusion and the way that you feel? If you're a single mom, if you're a mother, if you are late boomers or baby boomers who are now beginning to take care of their parents and may need special arrangements. All of those things are now being talked about in the workplace and are very important issues, so that if you present yourself to a company, it's okay to talk about diversity. It's a hot topic. People want to make sure that nowadays it's something that comes to the forefront. So as an applicant or a candidate or someone who I'm interviewing, or someone is coming to my job, I'm actually thrilled to death when someone asks me, is there a diversity or an inclusion statement? You know, everybody looks at the mission and the vision and the values. You want to make sure that those mission statements, those value statements tie into your sense of belonging, and that the workplace diversity is really enhancing key technology. One of the things that when I met Avala, we talked about, I actually would have hiring managers say things to me like, there are no Black people in technology. And it hurt my heart. So I made it a life dream to make sure that I was recruiting diverse candidates. Last year, my company, Opportune, grew. I had the pleasure of hiring over 1,100 people. 562 of those people were technology people. This span across Mexico, India, Australia, and Canada. I own the USA team now. My role has expanded. And so we're working to look at ways to find more diverse candidates across the platform. We're now starting to use artificial intelligence, which is going to be my next topic. Right before or right after I met Avalon, I started implementing one of the top ATS systems. And for those who don't know acronyms, I'll tell you ATS stands for Applicant Tracking Systems. And I had the opportunity to build it out and set up all the parameters for the bots. We call them bots, the things that go out at night and pull in all the people that I needed to pull in. So yes, recruiting has changed. You can go to the next slide. I want to talk to you about how it has changed. So 52% of talent acquisition leaders say the hardest part of recruitment is screening candidates from a large pool. So this is why artificial intelligence has really, really come into play and is now a large part of what we're doing in the talent acquisition world. So what I'll quote someone that says any area of recruiting where distinct inputs and outputs occur, like screening, sourcing, and assessments, will largely become automated. So all of the processes that we're now talking about, they're no longer, can I drop off a resume? Can I fax you a resume? And by the way, we're no longer doing, can I email you a resume? Because that's considered unsolicited. So if you don't have the right tools or the utilities to start applying for jobs so that you can survive in this world of AI, I want to tell you, I'll give you them all today. So early results are extremely promising, by the way. Early adopters, companies using AI-powered recruiting software have seen their cost per screen reduced by 75%. And that overall was something that we were looking for when we implemented our new ATS called Greenhouse. Their revenue per candidate improved by 4% and their turnover decreased by 35%. Those are some good numbers in recruiting, especially if you can decrease your turnover. So let's talk about applicant tracking systems and AI-driven, how you can optimize for all of them. You need to follow these 6 guidelines. I always talk to people about this, okay? You want to make certain that when you are dealing with a resume, that the optimization of your resume is formal to what the AI and the bots and all of the automated systems are used to. And that is that most AI-driven platforms are using Microsoft Word. Many people assume that a PDF is the best format. I'm here to tell you that that is not correct. As a matter of fact, Greenhouse does work better when it receives a Microsoft Word document. So unfortunately, many AI-driven application screeners still aren't compatible with PDFs. So upload your resume as a Word doc. I would love to see a show of hands of, does that, if you guys want to just give me a thumbs up, does that resonate with anybody recently of thinking, having that false misconception that a PDF file is better than a Word file? It's not. As a recruiter who sat in the seat for 30 years and worked for some very prominent companies, I like to be able to manipulate the document, be able to email it, send it, maybe chop off some keywords and put it in highlighted format. When I'm dealing with my hiring managers, I'm always summarizing somebody's key background. So if you customize your resume with the right keywords, guess what's going to happen? It's going to take you to the top of the search. So what I would recommend doing, even if you have to do a rewrite for the jobs that you're applying for, is to take a look at the job description and base your job description or your resume on the job description, and try to pull out the keywords that match the terms in the position of the job description. This is going to increase the number of ATS software brands that they're going to recognize the synonyms. So I remember when I was in healthcare recruiting, I'll tell you guys a real quick something that aligns with this. I used to recruit nurses for one of the largest healthcare organizations in the United States and America, HCA Healthcare. And you don't know how many ways you can say a registered nurse. There's RN, there's registered nurse, there's RN, PICU, NICU, RN. So for those of you who are in healthcare, there are a lot of acronyms. And people make the false conception, again, that you have to be trendy. You don't have to be trendy. Whenever I'm writing a Boolean search string, I'm making certain that I'm putting the full word, like registered nurse. And then after, I would use in parentheses RN, because I know that that's something that people recognize as well. So make sure that you have plenty of exact match systems, words that are on the job description. The more words that you have that match the job description, the better off you're going to have a better chance of being recognized. It's like apples to apples and oranges to oranges. So if you wrote a global affairs and if you wrote a global affairs instead of international affairs, that's one way that you might be filtered out, because if the job calls for global, they're using the word global, and you put international, those two don't match. Those synonyms are two different words. So you'll want to make sure that you read the job descriptions carefully, read the acronyms of how they're describing things, and make certain that you're using the right keywords. Avoid key information written in headers and footers. The AI bots of an ATS might not be able to paraphrase and read information in the header or the footer of a document. So find another place on your resume to put key details like contact information, so your information is properly saved and stored. Another thing that I'd like to state is people have a very false conception that when you're putting your contact information, that you should not put your address or anything. I would like to tell you that now that the laws have been passed, that we have to make certain that we are posting salary on every single job that I post now. We pay by demographics. Most companies are going to geocode pay plans because people are remote. And so we use a very sophisticated salary survey benchmarking platform that will tell us what the cost of living is down to a city. So when I'm recruiting, if I have a person that tells me they're in Florida, I have to specifically ask them, what part of Florida are you in? Because guess what? My counterparts that work in Miami make a lot more money than I do in Tampa. For some crazy reason, they seem to think that the economy is a little bit higher. And I will tell you that Miami is a lot more expensive than Tampa, but the pay range is a lot different. So you do want to identify where it is. City and state would be fine. Also, you want to make sure that you have a clear and precise contact. Do you prefer to be contacted by LinkedIn? Do you prefer to be contacted? You want to put a preferred contact method. Some people don't like cell phones. I got to be honest with you. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll probably ask me why, because I try to keep business, personal, my children with my children, and just different things. The job really can tie you down when you're remote. So make sure you put a preferred contact. I would love to be contacted by email, or believe it or not, LinkedIn chat is the best way to reach me, because I'm always on there doing some AI driven type studies. So, and making certain that I'm reaching out to people. All right. So making sure that your contact information is preferred, using a hybrid resume format. What does that mean? A hybrid resume format is the standard resume format. It combines a professional summary and key skills, and then it records it in chronological achievement and work history. Listen, you do not need to do all this fancy stuff like put it in boxes, put a picture. I'm going to tell you guys, I've been doing this, like I told you, for 30 years. And we would actually collect just a little secret and tell you, we would actually collect all the pictures up on and look at them. And then we put them up on the board and say, well, who are you going to select based on their looks? And we joke about it because, that's discriminatory. A picture doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. What you bring to the table, your skill set, and if you're articulating those skill sets and selling your skill set is very, very important. So ATSs need data in chronological order. Sometimes they can't parse it. Greenhouse, the application that I just implemented, is a parsing ATS, so it does pull in the information. So I'll give you a real live world experience. If it's not formatted right, it'll put it in, it'll jumble it up, and then I'll have to go in and straighten it. So the more clearer it is for me on the resume, the more likely you're going to get in my inbox, and I'm not going to have to do so much work to get you in front of the hiring manager. Okay. So make sure that you're using a hybrid resume. The basics, remember, skill set, education, chronological order, and you go from present to past, not past to present. That will irritate the heck out of a recruiter. I've seen people go from the past to the present and bring me up to where they're at. No, no, no. I need to be present with you, and then I will take you through your past to see what your skill set is like and if it fits. Then the next thing that we're looking at is making certain that to avoid the fancy formatting. I think I can't highlight this enough, that I don't need graphics, I don't need photos, I don't need logos, I don't need custom bullet points, I don't need classic circular squares or colors or highlighted words, or I don't even like hyperlinks. Some people are now putting hyperlinks to on their resume, unless you are a person who works in marketing and you have to show something creative, and they're looking for you to be creative in your portfolio, or you have to show color or tables or things like that, then I will say yes, that is appropriate. But try to avoid fancy formatting, because ultimately ATSs, they don't convert that document. They are text-based only files. So graphics and unnecessary embellishments, they actually lower your chance of beating the bots. The bots don't recognize it. Remember, this is all computer, it's learning. And as we progress into AI, and I talk to you about AI, it does save recruiters time for the automation of high volume, because it's going to screen through those resumes and pull to the top. So if AI is controlling the recruiting process, you have to know these things to avoid the pitfalls that most people think are the dynamic factors of getting them through the door. I don't want an impressive resume. And then number 6, check your resume. Check that your resume complies with ATS bots. I did put something in here. You might want to look at copying and pasting your resume into a plain text converter. Does the content look disorganized? It happens all the time. Did anything get eliminated? Your resume will not pass the ATS readability test if you don't try it out and see if it works. So this improves the quality of hiring and making certain that you are getting looked at, and making certain that your resume is coming to the top. How many times have you applied for a job and you did not get a response? How many jobs have you applied to and you did not get them? These secrets and tips that I'm going to talk to you about in depth, a little bit more about intelligent screening software, that's the AI side of it. Intelligent screening software is an automated resume screening, and it's used by machine learning. And it exists in resumes at database. We call them our little friends, our little bots at night. They're called recruiter chat bots, and they go in and they improve the candidate experience, because if you meet the requirements, they're going to they're going to put you above the rest of the candidates. It's kind of like they'll digitize you and put you in my inbox and say, you need to schedule. And in some cases, we will allow for the AI to schedule the first screening for us. Yes. Let me take a moment, because I want to make sure that I'm addressing. I love to talk, as you can tell. I'm so excited about my career, what I can share. But I'm going to let our MC are there some questions there that we need to answer? Because I saw that we're going to be monitoring. Do we want to get any quick reactions or anything that anybody wants to put in chat? Just let us know. I try to be informal in my process of speaking to people, and I'll tell you why. I'll say some phenomenal things in a moment that'll blow people away, and then they'll go, wow, I never knew that. So if there's anything, or if you want me to expand on, please don't hesitate. You're not interrupting me. I'm used to an audience where it's interactive as well. So what do you think about some of the things? Well, you and I talked about this at the conference, right? Like, wow.
Oh. I mean, this is some mind-blowing things that you've just mentioned, and I'm actually taking notes and screenshots.
Yes.
Some things that popped out to me was how we needed to upload our resume in the Microsoft Word. I've always had the myth that it's PDF,
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, okay, now I got it. And you also referenced rewriting your resume to match the keywords in the job description. Some of us just end up using the still hold resume and apply for the same, the same resume for different jobs.
Yep.
So that's good to know. And then you talked about going from the present to the past.
Yes.
So I just feel like, wow, okay. Then
Yeah.
the key thing, adding your contact information to the resume, that was something that I didn't, we've always been taught, that, oh, don't put
Yes.
your address. But it's interesting to realize that the ABOT or the trends in the industry right now looks at the geocode,
Yes.
and then someone can earn more salary than the other person just
That's correct.
looks at
That
it
is
differently.
correct.
So that's some great tip. One person had a question earlier, which I noticed. It said,
Sure.
could you put the city and state alone on your resume?
That would be fine. That would be fine because that actually gives me a geolocation. Like I live in a suburbs of Tampa called Wesley Chapel, which is one of the most expensive cities in Tampa. So if I just put Tampa, Florida, I'm gonna probably blow my chances of getting a higher expense of living area, like Austin, Texas versus Houston, Texas. They are very different. Like my good example, Tampa, Florida versus Miami. My colleagues down in Miami make more money based on their geolocation. So these are all very important things. And also too, it's okay. A lot of people have asked me something and I wanted to say this. It's okay to call out what you prefer to be called. A lot of people botch up my name, Nichelle. I love my name. My mom named me after someone very famous, Nichelle Nichols, who is Captain Uhura from Star Trek. And I love it. But do you know how many times that name has been botched up? So I do prefer to be called Nikki. And then that way, when a recruiter, do you know recruiters hesitate to pick up the phone and call people with difficult names? I'll throw that out at you guys too. So it can be extremely difficult for you to even get through the door. That if your name, and a lot of times I've noticed this is going to really tip you off. Nigerians have names that their alphabet comes in different ways, like AKINTOMID is not very common. So what's going to happen is the checkbots are going to think that that's jargon, blur, gaga. They're going to think that it's not the name, that there's some mistake in the text, the syntax. And so what I urge people to do is make sure that there's a first, the last name, and maybe in how I put my name in parentheses, that's actually something that we use. So let's move forward. All right, thank you.
Yeah, so maybe we have the Q&A after you're done talking. I'll just keep putting the questions and we'll come back to
Okay, that would be great. No problem. So what are we talking about? Skills hiring managers are looking for. I love that that you guys asked me to talk about the skills because it's so important. Uploading your resume, customizing, we talked about that. But some of the things that people don't realize is that key things that the hiring managers are looking for is an effective communicator, someone, number one, who can tell their story. And not only are they going to test you in your ability, your verbal ability, but your written and your speaking ability as well. I actually have someone ask me about boardroom presence because of the level that I'm at. I have to deal with the board and the ELT, the executive leadership committee, and the executive leadership team. So communication is always the very first one that stands out. How are you interpreting? How are you articulating? What is your presence like? Can you communicate your point? Teamwork is another one. We are working in environments where it's cross-generational, it's multiracial, it's multi-gender. You have to be able to get along with people. You have to be able to work with multiple ethnicities across so many work platforms. So I spend a great deal of time training companies in teamwork and how to bring teams together. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, we lost that ability to do what humans do, and that's to be in front of each other and to make sure that we're loving and sharing and caring. And so we don't have that human touch anymore, but teamwork is something that we're always struggling to find people who work very well with others. Time management is important as well, because as you know, the remote workforce is in place. My company is 100% remote, except for the folks that are in Mexico, because we do have a call center there. And we do have some agents that walk into stores. We have 260 retail storefronts where you can actually go in and borrow money from our organization. So time management, how you manage your time, problem solving. When I walked into my organization, there was absolutely no talent acquisition built out whatsoever. I had to come in, solve problems, and then adapt and create. And adaptability doesn't necessarily mean if the geese good with the geese is good for the gander. What it really means is that you have the ability to live out the culture of the company. You're adaptable to what the company stands for and what their values are within the organization. Interpersonal skills, of course, are very important. You want to be able to relate to other people and be able to talk to them. Organization is always a key skills. So if you can demonstrate and talk to a person about how your organizational skills have stood out from other people, your peers, you can put yourself to the top. And then here we go, my field, and the field that everybody is interested in lately is the technology skill. What is it that you bring to the table? And one of the things that I will tell you when it comes to technology, folks, we have very sophisticated applications. I used one, I just launched it for my company. It's called HackerRank. And it does test your skills and knowledge. So if you put on a resume that you have SQL, SQL, or you're a C+ programmer, or you know Java, and then I go to test you and then you don't do well in the test, it's not going to look good. So if you really aren't versed in those particular skill sets, I'm going to make the recommendation that you do not put things on your resume that you don't have the ability. So remember this, what employers are looking for is number one, the ability to perform the job is the single most important thing that employers look for. Can you perform the job? Can you walk in, hit the ground and running, or do you have the potential to perform this job? So making certain that you're presenting your skill set is great, but that's only half the battle. So how do you get to the interview and what do? You can go to the next slide. I think I put something up there. If not, we'll talk. All right. Are you prepared to interview for a new role or position? There are 20 characteristics or 20 things that interviewers look for. Even on a Zoom call, it's very important, your body language. So if I am noticing a person isn't engaged with me, or they may be doing something else, or I've actually had people where, you won't believe this, they were doing the interview, but their husband was telling them everything to say, especially in technology, a particular culture, they capitalize on the ability to husband and wife to tag team, and usually the husband will do the job and then the wife, he'll actually do two jobs, but because he'll get his wife hired because he took the interview and answered it. So I always look at body language. And another thing that I want to see with a candidate is likability. I want to really be able to see if I can have a conversation with this person. I want to think about the characteristics that people appreciate in life. Like, is this person genuine? Are they polite? Are they cooperative? Are they rude? Are they interrupting me? And then the other thing is openness to new approaches and opportunities. So your potential employer may be impressed by your past performance, but also wants to know that you're open to trying new ways of doing things. You know, what is the saying? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I got to be honest with you guys. It does stand. Right now, our company is going through some changes, and we're having a lot of turnover because people do not like the new direction. We're rebranding. We just merged with a smaller company. We're picking up more clients, and we have had some key people actually resign from our organization. And so new approaches, new things are always important. And in interviews, you want to ask, can I get a timeline? Can I know what a year from now looks like? Do you do workforce planning? Can I know what 2 years looks like? What did it look like for you during the pandemic? Did you have to lay people off? What did you do to support people during the pandemic? What was that like for you? That's going to get a real gauge on their approach and their options, the way they treat their employees. Preparation is everything as well. There is no way in America that you can go to an interview and not have prepared for it. There's too much out on the internet for you not to. You can get way down to their stock prices. You can get down to whether or not they're in court on a legal case, if they're being sued, and if that's going to affect you in some way. If you're in the finance or the tech industry, like fintech, I want to know if a company is coming with a bad reputation before I put my name on it. I want to know if Wells Fargo is not treating their employees right, or Bank of America is taking pennies on the dollar from what are they doing. So I want to read those articles. I want to be prepared. And believe it or not, the interviewers like when you come prepared. They think that's great. So have your handy notebook, your notes, things that you want to talk about, questions as well. Soft skills in action. Your interview is perfect time to demonstrate your soft skills, your empathy, your integrity, your dependability, your creativity, and your adaptability. As an athlete, I can walk through the door and tell people that I'm resilient. I've played basketball games with 104 fever and strep throat and still knocked out 10 points. So I'm going to be the person who's going to show up and talk about be with the team and make sure that I'm giving my all. So dependability, adaptability. My integrity is important to me. It's okay for me to say that, hey, I was raised by a mom who didn't allow us to tell lies, or my mom didn't allow us to use slang in my household. So growing up in Los Angeles, California, I didn't get to use hey, what's up, man, or something like that. I was not allowed. My mom was a very classy lady. So your soft skills are very important. As a matter of fact, soft skills are selling now quicker than hard skills. And we'll be able, if anybody has any questions, we'll be able to talk about that. Leadership is important. People want to know that you have good leadership skills, because when I walked into the company, I was actually a senior recruiter, and within 10 days, I was promoted to a senior manager within 10 days, because they saw that I had leadership and they needed a person who could lead them into the next phase of talent acquisition. Confidence, if you don't have it, I'm going to tell you, you can't buy it. You got to be born with it. And every day that you practice and look in the mirror at yourself and put the little sticky notes up on the mirror, you are great, you are awesome. You have to build up your confidence. Believe in yourself and behave accordingly. Let your interviewer know you recognize your value and you're excited to be able to share it as you learn from others. Passion. Every person that I meet will tell me, you are one of the most passionate people that I've ever met. You can tell that you like what you do, Nikki, and I'm very passionate. I always find words to work in my passion about my enthusiasm and my excitement and just my knowledge of what I like to share, recognizing that I can tie my talents and my communication and my professional dreams and ambition into an interview. A lot of people don't know this, but I do public speaking around the world. I speak 5 different languages. And so it's easy for me to be able to go internationally and speak in Italian and Spanish, Yiddish. I've studied a lot of different languages, having traveled all around the world to play basketball. I love culture, so I made it a point to not only just come to their country and eat their food, but I wanted to learn their language as well. I think it's beautiful when you have enthusiasm and passion for other people's culture. Also, success stories. You want to talk about, hey, I was raised in Los Angeles. I didn't come from a very wealthy family, but I somehow made it through and was able to get to college and be a very smart athlete who had the opportunity to finish up a master's and travel the world. So my success stories may impress someone. A lot of times when I tell people that I lived most of my adult life overseas and that I have very European culture style as far as family life, they migrate towards that because most people are immigrants, and you can always find a common ground with something that has to do with the success story. How about curiosity? Make sure you're curious about and you're engaged with the hiring process. Ask questions like, "Hey, why is this position open? And how will you know that you've hired the right person? What does this look like in 90 days? How does this role fuel the company's overall status? What will this role impact? How will I be a part of any challenges or any opportunity that the company may face or awaits? And what are the key things that you're looking for in a person, and that's going to have this job?" And it's okay to ask at the end. Now that I've presented my background too, is there something that I can present to you to clarify, or do you have a really good understanding of my background and how it lines up? Another thing is personality. It's okay to have a personality and to show it. Be your authentic self. A lot of people know that I'm a basketball player, so 9 times out of 10, before I even start a conversation, I'm gonna say, "Hey, did you see that game last night?" Or I'll say something like, "Hey, Kobe or Shaq or LeBron or you know, John Morant or something," because I love basketball. So this is something that people don't realize, but personality does help. Thoughtfulness helps. If someone has mentioned something, like, "Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. My daughter was sick. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope she feels better." Or a lot of times, my story has been so impactful. You don't know how many times I've told people that the reason I'm where I'm at today is because my mom died of COVID in the first run of March of 2020. It changed my whole life. You don't know how many times I've said that, and I've never heard one word of sympathy. Like sometimes people will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss," or they'll just breeze right over it. So you want to know if a person is thoughtful. And I got to be honest with you. I've actually stopped interviews when I use that as a test to see if people are really engaged in being thoughtful and passionate and polite. Also being self-directed. Do you have the ability to guide yourself to discuss where you've been and where and where you are presently and where you would like to see the future of yourself? And it's nice to see if it aligns with your aspirations, because being a self-directed individual, when companies start to misalign themselves with you, it kind of your career path starts to change. So you have to set the expectation and let the interviewer know. I'm throwing these words in here as I talk. So we're on expectation of what you're looking for. It's okay to align with the company and what they're looking for. Communicate your thoughts about the role that you've applied for and what you expect from the company as well. And then be self-aware. Be prepared to discuss your opinions about your work, citing your strengths and areas for improvement. Let your interviewer know that you want to be active and participate in the career. So I always let people know that I'm an entrepreneur and I do have aspirations outside of the job. I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of prison reform. How does that tie into my work-life balance? Because I'm very engaged in community service. And also, it's okay. I'm engaged with my 3 young African American sons who have to face this world. And I want to know that do I have opportunity to be a mom and be a parent to these 3 young men and my stepdaughter? They also want you to talk about your motivation. Let the interviewer know that you're committed to taking on other roles and challenges, that you can expand out your mind. What is your willingness to do other things? Tell the interviewer, showcase some willingness of you being a team player. One of the things that I would cite when I came to my company, again, they didn't have any recruiters. They weren't performing well. So I was a team player and I benchmark. I benchmark against best practices. And then I started to see where we fell and I put together a plan. And I was brave enough to say, I think this is the direction we should be going. And that's how I landed the senior manager role in 10 days. So also understanding the company and who you're interviewing with, make sure you do your homework on the history, the business model, know their mission, know their values. There's a lot of times I can come into an interview and I'll state some of the company's values and talk to you about it and how that aligns with my life, and then I'll plant myself in that role. But the only way I can plant myself in that role is to understand the role. So you got to do your homework and understand what must be willing to work with or must-haves are, or where, whether or not you're even aligning with the role. Just because you got past the interview doesn't necessarily mean you got the job. As you know, that you've got to have an understanding, a full understanding, and if you don't have it, please have the interviewer explain to you how the role that you've applied for fits into the company. And then understand your potential in the role and showcase that. It doesn't, don't be ashamed to point out your successes and your achievements so that you can be a standout person amongst the other candidates that you're competing with. I think it's very important whenever you're looking at potential roles that you utilize some of these things. And if I were a person, I would try to research and find what of these 20 that I've given you, try to capitalize on 4 or 5 of them and have them in this discussion. Like I talked to you about my passion, my leadership, my confidence, and also my ability to be liked. People want to like each other. You have to work together, even if you're remote. And how many times have you come to a place and you've worked with someone, let's be real, and you didn't like them or they weren't a likable person? It was very hard to deal with them and hard to be successful. So I'll give you that. I'm going to pause right here to get back to our MC. I see we're at 10:08, and I know that there may be some questions that I can answer, and I can weave into those other topics that I didn't feel like I had a lot of time to prepare, but maybe I can come back and talk and support people if they want one-on-one sessions, or I'm here to help the entire organization. I committed to that, didn't I? So let me know where we're at and what I can do to be a pleasure and excitement to this organization. It would be my absolute honor.
It is a joy to have you join our community. People, please show some love to Miss Nikki Taylor. Just some clap, love emoji, whatever it is. Just let her know that you appreciate all the great tips and information that she has shared with our community. I'm just grateful that God gave us, you and I, an opportunity to connect. It was just out of the blues, and oh my goodness, what a blessing this is to my own community, to our community here.
Yes.
And one of the things that I had shared with the host pastor was that you had told me that you were interested in connecting with folks, from our background.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
that helped open up that diversity. And I just felt what a great opportunity, to bring in our folks to the table. There are lots of questions, some things that, resonated with me. I'm sure folks also, have taken some things away here. You talked about using your preferred name. Hey, we're Nigerians, and trust me, our names are Africans, Ghanaians are here. We're all over, from all over different countries, and our names are really long. So it's interesting to know that even the chatbot or the AI system probably would think it's gibberish and just skip by. So that's something that jumped out to me. You talked about.
Let me say something about that real quick. The chat bots are biased. They're creating see, what's happening is, and we knew this would happen because I studied artificial intelligence, being a part of that. Artificial intelligence will only tell you what to do. what you'll tell it what to do, and then it'll start drawing these behaviors, and it becomes very biased. And so now I'm part of an organization that an African American, actually she's from Nigeria, started an organization, the Fall on AI, because we are now starting to get weeded out because of biasness. You would have never thought in a million words, and I don't say it to offend, because my heart is near and dear. It doesn't matter what your last name is. But a chat bot doesn't know how lovely my friend is. She's gonna look at AK and IN and go, oh, that's a syntax error. Isn't that crazy? Because you don't see those normal, you don't see many words that spell AK or something like that. So they're gonna think that's a syntax error. I thought that one was a pretty cool one, because I wasn't really certain that people knew that.
Wow, yeah, it was really cool to know. Now there's so many questions, and I really wish that we're able to get through all of them. And I am hoping we can get your so buy-in that when next we have an opportunity to set this networking forum up again, that you will be available to come in and share some more great tips that would help our community. Again, we're all about transforming lives.
Yes, absolutely. I'm in.
Yeah, so I want to jump right into the questions. Someone asked about, should we include the year of graduation from college? Will it not skew out, them because they're older,
Oh, wow, that's a great one. Wow. So, I'll reveal something to you, and I feel like it is stopping me. March the 13th, I'm going to be 55 years old. I'm so proud of that, because I feel so good, and I still can turn a cartwheel, and I'm still excited, and people look at me and they say, you look so young. I say, it's the God in me. He keeps me healthy, and he keeps me vibrant and alive, and I can relate to every single generation because of my travels. But I say that it does. It does. I graduated from high school in 1986 and from college in 1990. So they're going to immediately put me in a category that I am. They're going to figure it out. And I can figure it out if I'm looking at someone. So I wouldn't say to try to hide it. What I would say is to travel. If you're going to talk about your college, try to highlight something in college. Like, what I highlight? I highlight that I am a collegiate basketball player. I went to UCLA. Who doesn't like UCLA? But they're one of the hottest basketball teams now. A couple of years ago, they weren't, because they were in a lot of trouble. But UCLA is a great school. And so I will highlight that I've done collegiate basketball, public speaking, and I won't put the year. So I do take that out. That because of my own experiences. I don't know what anyone else has experienced, but if they're in my generation of 55, yes, I do think that they look at it and you get weeded out. So very good question. And I won't lie to you. I'm going to be transparent. Yes, leave it out if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, we appreciate that transparency as well. Just a quick reminder, Ms. Nishal, some folks have reached out to me and say they would like to connect with you.
Yes.
So I don't know if you would like to, share with us your LinkedIn contact information or how we can.
Yes, I'll make sure. Can I get that to you as well? LinkedIn is a great way, because I'm going to accept your friendship. I'm building, one of my goals for 2023 is to build my profile, build it up more, because I am going to go on a road show and do some more public speaking. And so it's nice when you have contacts and you can send links out like this to very good chats. This is a great chat with an organization that, I don't know if a lot of people know about, but they have the opportunity to hear some great things today. So
awesome. So
absolutely.
All right, thank you. Some folks are really, really eager to know what opportunities your companies or those within your industry are have available. So I know we don't have enough time for you to go into all the details, but if you can point us to the link, maybe
yes,
that information, that would be great.
Yes. Okay, so people ask me what platforms am I using to discover jobs or what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you right off the back, LinkedIn is still the number one place for job finding. There's over 5 million people that are there. So you can never say it's saturated, because if you met all those 5 million people, then you're great. The platform has grown It is big. So if you're looking for jobs, first of all, I would say that's a great place to start. Unfortunately, I'm going to be very honest with you. There's something that economically is turning within our capitalistic society, and we're creating this very, I don't want to get into politics, but this recession. How, but we're still hiring, but now we've slowed our hiring down because of the feds raising our lending prices. So remember, I'm a lender. So now we're not having very good, so we have to cut back. We don't. At one point, I was hiring, when I started the year off, we had 62 positions. We have 3 now. Yes. And we're looking every day at budget, like all of our positions go up to the CEO. That's how tight they're looking to see, do we need this? Is it necessary? And I think a lot of companies are going through that right now. 18,000 people recently let go at Google, 16,000 recently let go at Amazon. So if you're interested in those big players, I would say at this point into the economy kind of comes out of this first quarter, my thing is look into startups. Startups are still, there's dreamers out there that have created applications that want to get them into people's hands. So do a search on startups that are in my city, startups that I can be a part of. And a lot of times when you have startups, they need bodies, they need people to come in there and do the work to get the company started. My company was actually a startup when I came. I started, there were only 2,000 people. I grew it to 3,500. So imagine the value that I add to the organization. So when you start that way, you can grow and continue. So my next level for promotion, actually, I just got promoted. I'm going to go to associate director. So from senior manager to an associate director because of the knowledge that I bring to the startup that they need. So startups, startups, startups.
Startups, people. I hope you all taking notes. All right. One quick thing, Nikki. So I know that you're giving us a lot of homework. We're taking things back, that action items that I know personally I have to work on, and folks on this line, in this meeting room will also work on. So we're requesting that you have us in your calendar, on your calendar, to be back in about 6 months.
That's fine.
That way we can actually even show you progress. Say, hey, as a result of this, attended this event and things that you taught us, these are the things that we did, and here are the results so far, and we can get more from you. So, all right, moving on.
And I think it's important that if you reach out to somebody, because you and I have that relationship, that you nurture the relationship. Like a lot of people will meet me at places and then they won't nurture. And God has given me something. I want to tell you, I'm blessed with it. I'm an empath, and He told me that this would be my journey. So if you've already been confirmed that this is what your life mission is, and you happen to meet me, I'm going to pour into you. And well, I can tell you that we have long conversations about technology or what it is that we're looking at. So if you reach out to me, be prepared to be poured into and nurture the relationship. That's where that human touch is. It's a volley. You do have to go back and forth.
Nurture the relationship. That's a key.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing. Another quick question. So someone asked, like, how many pages should my resume be? That's a question that keeps coming to our head. And for people that have many years of experience, a one-pager is now cutting it, right? And so some folks have 20, 25 years, 15 years, like, how do we navigate that path?
I know. My resume is 4.5 pages. I've had recruiters tell me, I can't do this. I'm such too. In the past, I said, well, what do you want me to do? That's all the experience that I've had. But, I don't think that there's one size fits all solution to that. I really don't. I've never, as a recruiter, being 30 years in this, I've never said that this resume is too long, because I'm going to give you a key tip and you guys are going to be shocked when I tell you this. I don't sit down and read resumes. I do not read resumes. First of all, I'm bad because I'm a speed reader. So I'm only going to gather the information that I need, and I'm going to rate you. I'm going to rate you a 1, 2, or 3. 1 means I'm going to get back to you. 2 means if my ones don't work out, then I got to go to my 2 pile. And then 3 means I'm not going to touch it. It's trash. So 1, 2, 3, it's a rating scale. We all use it. I've been in this business long enough to tell you, we do not read resumes. What we read is the meaning of what I told you guys, those key words. Are you aligning yourself to what I need? We're very selfish people, kind of. There are a few people out there like me who will read through a resume and say, you know, I see something in this person. Everybody's not a resume writer. So God might give me something and say, there's something in this person. I think I'm going to call them. And then I'll get on the phone with them and they're totally different than what that resume says. They're brilliant because they're not a great resume writer. So I don't think it's the resume, although it is our calling card and it gets us through the door. I don't think it has to be so fancy to where it's elaborate. I think that it needs to tell the point of the story with the keywords that I told you about. And it needs to be organized so that it's your calling card. It's your 5-minute elevator pitch. You only get 5 minutes of fame, so make it work. And if you can't do it in 5 minutes, 4 pages is too long. Think about it that way. So if I were looking for a job, I really need to work on shortening mine or just putting the relevant skills that are going to get me to the top of the box. So
right. That elevator pitch. That's
elevator pitch. It's your calling card.
Yeah. Come up with
that. Remember, it's not your life story. It's going to make them curious. How many times have you read the book, like you saw Viola Davis's book, and you know that she's a great actress, but I want to read the preface to see what it's about. Remember, that's what catches. I can go scan through the book, but it's long. But give me the preface. So think of your resume as a preface, as the preface of the first thing that that's going to get someone to be attracted to you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Someone is asking if the session is recorded. Absolutely. The session is currently live. It's been recorded, and multimedia would definitely post the link to where you can go back to rewatch, what we have discussed today. Now, there's another interesting question that really comes to mind, and even I have that question, and some other people have it. Sometimes we get our first contact with a recruiter, and one of the things that they're asking is, how much are you making right now? Or what's your salary expectation? So my question, or our question to you is, what is the best time to have that conversation about salary expectation?
Upfront.
Beginning upfront, or
upfront before walk in the door saying you want 200,000. That way you won't waste anybody's time if they're not going to give you it. I'm going to be very honest with you. If you're not flexible with your salary with job, then if you have a certain amount of money and you're stuck on it, let's have some conversation, because you might be blocking yourself out of opportunities because you think that you're worth this and the market only can bear that. Salary is very, very important. And I used to lead a team of 15 recruiters. I have half of that now. And we all disagree on it. I actually had one of my subordinates say she disagreed with me yesterday. I was like, okay, that's fine to disagree with me, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's so sad to try to negotiate salary at the end of the conversation. And you know how many times that happens in my business? We're negotiating at the end when we should have been talking about whether or not we were in agreement up front. It's like a failed relationship. Like you said, these are the breakers. Like, if you dated a guy and he smoked and you're like, I don't date guys who smoke. And then you never asked him that, and then you're at dinner and he lights up a cigarette. Breaker. So it's the same thing with salary. You have to be comfortable. And I don't know why we're so uncomfortable with talking about salary. It should be the very first thing. It's okay to see if it lines up. And if it doesn't line up, find some good dialogue. Say, well, because a lot of times people call me every day about jobs. I'm open. I stay open to the market. I do. I want to hear what the competition is like. And what they'll say to me is, well, what are you looking for? And I'll say I'll be realistic, 10% more than what I'm making now, which I know is a lot higher than what they expected. But I will let them know it's not always salary that's going to move me. It's about life balance and a sense of belonging and being my authentic self. Because if I can come to work and being me every day, that's priceless. So salary comes in, and then also too, really quick, salary cannot be just one number. Okay, we make that mistake and we screw ourselves out of a lot of things like equity, restricted stock units, 401k matching. So you can't walk through the door saying you want 180K. You can walk through the door and say, I want a package, a compensation package that encompasses this. Like, what are the benefits worth? Are they 35 to 40, 35 to 40% of the salary? Like, our benefits are worth 35% of the salary. We do a 401k match up to 4%. That's priceless. We do give stock units. And then we also sponsor. When we enter you into the lottery, you know how priceless that is? Most companies are not sponsoring H1B. So if you get an organization that's sponsoring, that's how much does that cost? Anywhere from 20 to 30,000 just to get sponsored. So you have to look at your expectations. So that's why I said if there's individuals that have issues with salary, I'd love to have those conversations because that happens to be an area of passion for me as well. We've got to sell ourselves higher.
That's right.
I think as African Americans, as black people, people of color, we don't sell ourselves. We go through the door asking for less than what we're worth, and then your counterpart is making more than you, but they're not going to tell you that because you only came in and asked for 150. And everybody else is making 200. Well, that's what you asked for. We gave it to you.
Yeah. We need some great follow-up tips on that one. On that point, I would like to piggyback on, this point still. So many of us are immigrants, like, we transitioning from one country to the US, or wherever we're transitioning to. Many of us already have like so rich a background where we're coming from. And we get into this new country, we're not sure how to navigate it. People tell us you have to start from the scratch. And then we start from the scratch and forget all those years or let go or lose out all the years that we have worked. How do we navigate that? And, I believe it's a global world and our skills are transferable. But what would be your tip for
absolutely? Yeah, and it's sad when you do that because then you get in a job and you realize that you're smarter than your boss. You're like, why did I sell myself short? Here's what I say, because we are remote organizations now, people work remotely. It doesn't matter where you did that work. A good example is the technology in Nigeria might not be sophisticated in, let's just say, cybersecurity, but I can tell you one thing is sophisticated in the fintech because they've run their whole money system through a different way. You have to bring value by helping them to understand what is the matchup of the company, the economy, and the base of what your country look like. Like I remember a good example. I used to hire nurses from Puerto Rico, and it made me so upset because they would say that, well, they should be paid less because they're from Puerto Rico. And I'm like, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. You don't think that they have hospitals where they're doing open heart surgery? There are sick people in Puerto Rico, just like there are sick people in the United States. We just have to show value, present the value of, I worked at a 144 bed hospital. We did open heart surgeries. We did this. We used this Da Vinci equipment, or we did that. So you have to draw the lines and make them aware, because of course they're going to say something like, you're from Kenya, and they don't really, they have this image. Remember, we see what we see, but we have to hear what we hear. So that's, again, your opportunity to give them a quick education on the value of your experience and the road that you've traveled. Remember, that's that thoughtfulness, that's that confidence. Those are all those words that I gave you guys, and how you use them is to tell your story. And you elevator pitch it, get in the mirror and try it out. Talk about where you came from and why it's valuable. Maybe even tie some of the economic differences to the United States and how a country does something better than what we do. I think that I told you that when you and I first met, I told you that I have such a passion for Nigerians when I meet them, and they don't get a chance. And it makes me sick because I work with software developers and engineers, and and they have the skill set that'll blow your mind. And I'm like telling I'm telling the hiring manager, this person would blow that person out of the water, and they'll say something like, but his accent is thick. I'm like, but he's not going to be talking to you. He's going to be doing the work. Unless we have him in presenting something, his work is more important. So I'm the fighter who goes in and does all of that. But you have to advocate for yourself too. You know, you can say that, hey, you know, my language skills might be a little light, but I understand English perfectly well. See how we just got over that? I might not be able to pronounce the words as quick, as nicely. I'm working on that, but I can speak English and I understand it very well. So if your company is willing to give me a chance to be my authentic self, I can discuss some of the culture of Nigeria and help you to understand my people. We have to be bolder. We have to, I'm a trailblazer, and I love people. People that have won in my company have been those people who've come in and been bold and said, hey, this is what my country does. This is how we do it. And they're educated and they're giving their story. They're walking them through.
Man, this is so much juice right here. I just wish we could keep going on and on and
Yeah,
on.
because I know for an immigration population, like I got the statistic, 95% of your members are first generation Nigerians. Amongst us are split millennials, gens, 10%. I mean, I would love to be able to have it. It's golden because when you get behind the door, this is what God told me. You're behind the door now. You got to tell them what they're discussing. So I have the secrets. I really do. I've seen a lot that has happened in the workplace. Am I happy with it? I'm happy with some. Some I'm not happy at all with the progress. But as a African American woman, you can best believe I'm on every committee, everything that has to do with race, and I'm talking about it. And even the CEO will call me out by name that, you know, Nikki, we can't wait to see what you're going to do for Black History Month. Nikki, we can't wait to see what you're going to do for Women in Network. Be a part of your organization. Represent your truth. You know,
right.
Put me in front of Nigerian organizations. Let me be the person who is the American Connect that will allow people to understand we value your skill. We value you as a people, as a race. We value you so much. We just have to fight it and make them see it.
Thank you, Nikki, for putting yourself in front and as an advocate and allowing God use you for the minority community. You know, there is a lot here. I tell you, one of the statistics talks about how many of us have like PhDs, MBAs, masters, like second, third degrees.
Yes.
You know, in addition with a lot of professional certifications, and everyone is just looking for a foot in the door.
A foot in the door. And then you know what's going to shock you, Fola? I'm going to let you in on a little secret that'll really blow your mind. And I hope you guys walk away with this. That master's and that PhD that you earned, that is outstanding. Do you know that the majority of my leaders that are managing me don't even have a college degree? And they have VP titles? Yeah. That's what will shock you. So we know what happens with them is that they knew somebody that knew somebody, like their friend called them and then that friend called them and then they got in. We don't do that enough in our own community. We have got to start doing that more and more and more and say, hey, I have this pool of candidates and this is what this looks like. This right here, these candidates are good. You know, I'll present 10 Nigerians on a DevOps position in a minute. I'm like, are you kidding me? Nigerians are some of the best DevOps people in the world. They're like, Nikki, what? I've been in this long enough to tell you that I know this for a fact. So don't, you're questioning me, the recruiter, and I deal with it on a regular basis. Their skill set is phenomenal. And so nobody's telling their story. So you have to partner with people like myself. You have to remember we talked about, you have to move out in front. And you have to stand in their face and don't go away and get them and knock at their door. It's almost what the Bible says, knock, keep knocking, and that door is going to be open.
Amen. Amen. Because I see that we're already out of time, but see, talking about getting a foot in the door and, you know, just knocking on the door and trying to help us bridge that gap. Now we have a couple of undocumented aliens. We have DACA people in our midst. how can you help support us? What are the things we need to do? Because people are just, taking menial jobs or taking jobs that they're less qualified for just to survive, but they got the skills.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how can you help us? How can we be helped?
This year, when we looked at the ratio or the number of the amount of money that we spent on sponsorship for H-1B and transfer, we didn't cut that. When we started looking at ways to cut, that was something that we were like, no, we're not going to cut it because it helps the organization grow and be bigger. I would say that I would want to be a part of an organization that does seek out refuge for undocumented, because if they don't, then there's nothing you're going to be able to do. If our company does work with, I'm just going to tell you, we're in Mexico. We've got people moving from Mexico. We're in India. I see them move from India to the United States. We sponsor them. We transfer them from Mexico. We do it all the time. And now we've got Canada. Like wow, their country's not. They're great enough. They want to. I'm just saying, everybody wants to come to the United States. So if you want to facilitate that, my best way is, I can't get past the government. I can only tell you to get with an organization that values the undocumented, or that has refuge, or has a program, or has a recruiter that will work through the process. And is it okay to mention that? What recruiters are not ICE or DICE or whatever. They're not going to be like, you're undocumented, get off the phone, I can't talk to you. They're going to be very honest, because guess what? It's discrimination. If you reveal to them that you're undocumented and they treat you wrong, it's discrimination. You have rights. And your rights are that you have the ability to legally work in this country. We just have to set you up and make sure that we're getting you in that process. And we do that at our company.
Thank you so very
much. And don't go to a company that doesn't. Because 9 times out of 10, they are hiring on legal. And then ICE is going to show up and everybody's going to be. So make sure you go to companies that honor and cherish how to get people through that system. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for sharing. That is a great tip. I know that I haven't been able to cover all, or we haven't been able to cover all the questions. If it's okay, I could get that compiled.
Yes,
send that to you, or when we have one-on-one connecting section, I could get the answers and then share back with folks in my community, people that attend.
And throw me, if you feel free, I'll throw it out there. I know you guys had some support groups and sessions. Yeah. And if you want to make me available virtually during any of I'd like to see what's on the young people's mind. Do you know what's sad is that we're not getting a lot of people in technology who want to be in technology. So we have a lot of Asians coming into our country now and taking opportunities from us because they still push their kids to technology. So what's happening, just real quick, and the Asians and the Indians are taking opportunities away from the United States Americans, or even the immigrants who come in. And if they don't push their kids to stay in technology, what's going to end up happening is we're going to see a more influx of those people coming into our country, taking away from the ability to expand to other races, to other immigrants. The Asians and the Indians are really, really taking over technology.
Wow. So I must ask this question. So I know that you just mentioned right now that the Indians and Chinese, they encourage and push their kids into technology. For us, we end up probably pushing our kids to like other curricular activities like sports and things like that. What would you recommend is the best way to get our kids in this industry, or get them interested, to at least build a pipeline so that, once this generation is part, the next generation can come in and fill it? I mean, you just identify, other countries that are doing it well. Is it just only sports we need to look at, gymnastics,
exactly,
like that, or can we, tap into technology, and how do we get our kids into this, pipeline?
That is such a great question. Thank you so much for asking that, because just this year, I actually made my son who into a recruiter. He's a high-tech recruiter, and so is his fiance, because they saw my success and they were like, my son played professional basketball in Bosnia, and he was probably the only African American walking around. They had never seen Black people. And he's like, Mom, I'm tired. I want to come back home, but I need to make money. Okay, sit down with me for 3 months and let me show you how to do it. So when you have mentors, mentorship is so important because we can tell them the life of what we're going through and what we're doing. One of my next speaking engagements is to a group of Gen Xers or Z, and they are so into being a YouTuber, influencer, and this. Okay, great, but that's technology as well too. So instead of being just one of those, why don't you figure out how to own that and what technology is surrounding it and what languages you have to learn, and don't use somebody else's platform, create one for yourself. So all of my sons are into music and they've learned different music applications. And I'm like going, okay, great, you can make a beat, you can make a rap song, but now tell me how that application works and who wrote it. And can you write something like that? So I challenge their energy by the level of curiosity that they have, and I try to tie it into a challenge of what we see in the real world. Like long gone are the days where you're getting kids who say, "Oh, I want to be a doctor or an engineer, or I want to be a this." I get YouTuber. Here's the top five: YouTuber, influencer. Yeah, you got princess, NBA, and football, or rapper. I never hear technology guru, that. So we have to stay tuned, tapped into our generation, because they're coming up. They're going to take care of me and you, and we're losing them. So we must encourage them to look into technologies, span it across their interests, and say, hey, you like being a gamer, you sit up and play the game all day. Do you know who wrote that program? Why don't you find out who invented it? How was it invented? What language was it written in? Maybe you can create a better video game. Maybe you don't like the way that guy pivots when he's racing the car. If you learn how that is programmed, maybe you can write an application. That's how I talk to kids. That's how I try to get them interested. Because they are going to be interested in what they're interested in, like Instagram. Why don't you figure out how it's all programmed? What's the backboard of Instagram or TikTok?
Wow. All right.
Find their interests.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to make a quick announcement.
Yes,
so
sir.
Right now it's time for the breakout session. And I want to thank everyone on this call. I see that we're about 50 folks that participated on the call, but there's some in rooms right now.
Yes.
So we have people in the retreat rooms, and it's a whole boardroom, and folks are in there. I see those at our retreat grant, and then I see Pastor in their own room as well. So I want to multimedia is posting up the announcement here. If you would like to participate in the support group and the breakout session and you want to go there, the Zoom link is being presented on screen. We do have the men group, we have the women, we have the children ages 6 to 13, and then we have the twins and 20s, 14 to 25, I believe. So you all can, twins and teens, thank you. You all can break out and go into those rooms. I know Nikki said she would like to engage with the Gen Zs here. Is it Gen Zs? Gen Zs? All right. The 14s and 20s. Yeah. So if you want, she's on standby. If you would like to stay behind and have a conversation with her, or you just feel like you want to stay behind and have a conversation with her, she's on standby, to talk to us. So the rest of us can break out and go into that room. And just wanted to let the parents know, if you would like your kids to participate in the support group, we need you to register. Everyone needs to register, and we need to fill out the consent form. It is important. All right. It's important that you give us your consent to have that conversation with your kids. And it's important also for you to give your consent to be a part of the support group. There's nothing scary about it. No, it's just the way you go to your doctor's office and they have you fill out some forms. Just legally we need to do that. So kindly fill out your forms. And multimedia, if you could also provide maybe a link where or post on the chat where folks can get access to the registration link and the form. That would be great. That would help us to speed up things. So everyone, thank you so very much for attending this session. And please, after the breakout session, we have a licensed counselor therapist that will be speaking to us about stress and stressors and how to handle stresses in our relationship. So, after the breakout session, we'll be back in the afternoon. I do believe it's about 12:30-ish, thereabouts. So please feel free. It's a whole long day. Yeah, we'll be back by 12:50, the 1 p.m. All right. So thank you, everyone. And then those that want to stick behind to talk to Nikki, please wait behind and then we'll get that conversation going. God bless you all. All right. So Nikki, back to you. And I apologize that I interrupted you. So
That's okay.
we talked about the kids and how those that are interested in music and stuff like that can think about what software is used to power this and how can you think about doing it better? So can you just talk a little bit? Let's just pick up from there and talk a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the conversation, just to give, because I saw one of your people, Dominic, put in chat, well, how do you become a cybersecurity recruiter? That's a specialized field. And we can talk about just how do you become a recruiter first, and then maybe branch into that specialty by becoming an expert at those positions and knowing what the demand is and how to find people. But a lot of times when you're engaging in conversation with your kids, it's hard today to relate to them. They're doing very different things than what we did. Their music, their relationships are all online or through chat and, things like that. So you have to appeal to them to understand. And one of the ways that I do it with my 3 sons is I try to challenge them from what they look at I've achieved. They'll say, well, you have this, this, and that. I'm like, well, you can have this, this, and that too, but you have to draw up a plan. And sometimes we forget to pass down what was passed down from us. We still live our life by milestones and plans. You're not like the immediate gratitude that the internet has given these kids is very sickening. There is nothing called immediate gratification. You have to do hard work in order to get where you're at. Sometimes you have to start at the bottom to get to the top. And I've noticed a lot of youth don't want to start at the bottom. They don't. And so if I can talk just a little bit through it, when I was teaching my son about recruiting, he was in a very dark place. He was a great basketball player, but he did not understand business. He had a college degree from a great university. So I took his basketball skill and I transitioned it into real world skills, that he's a great team player, that he knows how to articulate because he has to call the plays. He's a point guard, so he's a facilitator. See how I did that? The point guard passes the ball. I said you're a facilitator, and you're also a visionary because you have to know where the ball's going to go on the court in order to score. So we created a whole synopsis of his skill set based on him being a basketball player, and he walked into a job that nobody normally would look at him, but because I tapped into his skill set that he already had, he walked into a job making $65K a year as a junior recruiter. And that was not me. That was not me doing any of the legwork or calling anybody. That was me working with him on his resume, working with him on the confidence to sell yourself cross-functionally. I've worked with a lot of people. I work with the military community. When our veterans get out of the military, I'm very passionate about how do you transition all those acronyms and skill set. Military men have some of the best skill set you'll ever want to have, but they don't know how to transition that. So I used to teach this course on how to get a job in the real world. And the real world doesn't give a crap about you unless you can tell them about you. They don't care. Unless you come with a story to convince them, you're not going to get through the door. And so your kids have to understand that there are steps and milestones. And though it only took me 3 months to help my son to create him and his girlfriend, by the way, his girlfriend, his fiance, she's also a recruiter too. And they've had a very successful year. It just took me taking maybe some of the things they did at college, maybe some of the things they did in the community and helping them to sell that. You have to have that skill set. You got to have a basis that's called a jump off point, milestones, and step through it. And if they don't have the skills, You have to acquire the skills. And some people don't like to go to school. Okay, fine. Then stack it up with some webinars and put them on your resume. You know how many webinars I attend on LinkedIn every day because our company gives LinkedIn Learning for free. I think the best gift that a parent could give their kid nowadays is a subscription to Premium Plus on LinkedIn. You know why? It's where the world is going.
Wow.
It's where, don't buy them a game. Buy them a premium account to LinkedIn and help them show how to sell themselves appropriately, not on Instagram, doing something dumb, but doing something powerful that's going to be life sustaining for them and to build. It's not too early. I think that any kid who's got a phone in their hand and they're wasting time on TikTok or doing something, then imagine the power that we could put in their hand if we showed them LinkedIn and how big of a network it is. Like, I'll ask my son, do you have a LinkedIn profile? That was the first thing. He's like, I don't have one, but you do. Let me just copy yours. I'm like, no, you can't. You have to understand how the platform works and what it does. So we have to walk them through. We have to be tribal. Tribal means that it's hand down. Like somebody gave it to me, so I got to give it to you. Now you got to give it to them. You got to hand down what we know.
Right.
Yes.
Wow, this is great stuff. So some people are asking how they want to join how they can join the support group meeting rooms. Folks, the links in details about the links are posted on screen. Just keep paying attention. You will see the one for the men, the women, the children, and then the teens and twins and 20s. I know there's more questions are coming in, and I'm trying to see here. Are there Gen Zers in the house, the 20s, the tweens, the 20s that you want to ask questions to Nikki? You can just raise your hand. Let me see you, because she has a passion for you all, and she's already talking about how you can get on LinkedIn Premium, and your parents can actually get that set up for you. My daughter is 11, but I know that she's so into Roblox, and she's building stuff, and she's creating things, and she has this YouTube channel she's doing. And I'm like, how are you built? Can you just transfer this house you just built here and make it real? I remember learning AutoCAD, and for architects, that's how they
AutoCAD, yes.
The kids are doing this on Roblox, and they're building amazing things. So now you just told me a secret.
Yep.
How can I get her to think about, the software? How is this?
You just mentioned it. You said AutoCAD. You told me about a time. Let me tell you, before there was ever a sequel, I used to program in a language called Paradox. And I made somebody laugh the other day. I said, I learned how to program in Paradox on a Commodore computer or whatever. I think that it has to be appealing to them. Like these software applications that these kids are playing games on, or they're dominating their minds, they're actually utilizing their technical skill building. What's so amazing to me is my son, who was learning disabled, by the way, can sit down and write a full song on a program called Auto Beats or Auto Tunes. He was learning disabled. I couldn't believe he can put the beats and the music. And so because that's something that he likes and he does, I said, you should really think about being a studio programmer and learn various components of those programs that you can work and get yourself sessions. And, if you want to be a musician that gets paid. Start understanding how you can start selling your beats. Make a profile on LinkedIn and become an artist. Everybody's on LinkedIn. It's not just us. There's musicians, there's everybody. You have to get them to see the value of their profile and how to appropriately sell themselves. Yes, Instagram is great. Yes, TikTok is great. But professionals like us, we still use a space. And I don't know of anywhere. We're trying to discover what's going to take over LinkedIn. We haven't figured it out. We don't know yet. But we know that LinkedIn is here. It's right here, right now. And it's the biggest platform. And it's very useful. You can actually have webinars, and you can blog and do so many. It works just as great as Facebook did, but even better. And now it's competing with YouTube because I understand that you can do videos now. and start posting your videos as well.
Wow.
So it's a platform that's growing, and I think if we introduce our kids to it early, because you and I couldn't live without it, right? It's like if you ask a professional, when we were at the conference, nobody was writing down phone numbers. The new way is to take phones and bump each other.
And just scan.
That was but if you told your daughter that, she probably like, oh, Mom, that's so cool. So we have to bring them into our conversation. I told my son about it. Now he has this little business where he actually does people's profile for basketball, and they bump each other. They wrote a program. The athletes can now bump each other on their phone. Yeah. So you just have to show them things that are going to interest them, in technology.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. I mean, it was at the conference, and then for those who are wondering, we're talking about conference. It was the National Black MBA Association conference, annual conference. And it was funny. I had all my 100 plus resume printed out. I was ready. They're like, no, I don't even have anywhere to place this right now. Just, just scan the QR barcode. And I was like, whoa, okay. But I had to get on board. I had
to get on board too. I'm not a technology person, believe it or not. I don't like social media at all. I don't like it, but it's the way of the world to make sure that we are staying. And it's going to get even worse. If I'm talking to you about AI and robots and bots that draw your resume, and then now they're becoming prejudiced. My God, what's going to happen to us? We have to always network with each other, have symposiums like this, like maybe one person will tell another person or give them my contact information, and maybe they've had a problem of trying to understand how to, rise to the top and get traction. But traction is really tough when you're talking about automated systems now. Like I don't touch paper anymore. I don't have to. I wake up in the morning and I have resumes that are sitting there based on the criteria that I wrote out. I want this, I want this, I want that, I want this, and then the bots go out and pull them in. So you want to make sure that you are part of. Unfortunately, you have to be part of that organization or that generation where the bots are going to come get you.
All right. Some quick announcement. So a couple of things. I see that multimedia, our social media team just came on. Kemi, did you have any announcement for me? Is there something you'd like to get my attention to? Kemi? All right, maybe that's okay. Maybe she just came on. Jonathan, can you? Oh, yeah, Kemi, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you need me?
No, I was wondering if you came on because you had to tell me, provide an announcement or something.
Oh, no.
Okay, perfect. So again, quick reminder, folks, the support group session is going on, the breakout rooms. We have the men, the women, children 6 to 13, teens and 20s. Feel free, multimedia is projecting the Zoom link there. You can actually use the QR bar scanner to get in directly. We just talked about bumping. Someone's asking me, what do you mean by bumping each other? Yeah, it's just, just use a QR code. Yeah, and then you just scan that and you could get in. Otherwise, the Zoom link is on. Someone just reported that they're not able to get the consent form to sign to their kids. Jonathan, if you're on the line and you can hear me, do you mind sending me the actual link to my phone? And I can forward it to that individual. And if you could also provide the actual link in this meeting room chat, that would be great. So folks can just click on the link or copy it and then get the form and then get that signed over to you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Kunle, we will get you that form shortly so you could sign up for your kids. Again, we are, I know we still have about 39 folks on the call, and to find Nikki's hands hanging by to answer questions that we have. Please, the breakout session is going on, it's for the support group. I would like for, encourage folks to join those groups. But if you do have career related questions for your teens, in their 20s, their children, or personal questions regarding your own career, Nikki's on standby to answer. We're looking at the chat and we're looking at the QA box as well. So folks that have questions and would like for us to answer, please post it there, post on the chat, and I'll read that to Nikki, or she would even see that as we go along. Let me just be sure if there are other announcements here. 1 second. Okay. Oh, okay. Use this period. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So I understand that there are 5 teams that are ready to talk to you. Nikki, let's see here. There are questions about applying for internship in the field, summer internship program in particular. I know that one of the parents had asked that she's at the stage where her kids are going to college. She's struggling with filling out the forms, just trying to navigate that wall. There's a whole brand new wall for her. And I'm sure folks on this line, some people are in that category. So are there any tips? I know it's a lot of questions I tied all in one, but one, for folks that have kids that are eligible to start going to college and struggling with applying, how do they navigate that part? That's one. The second question is, some are looking for summer internship programs in particular, especially in technology or the fields that you are in or the companies that you run. How can they navigate that? So those are the 2 questions I have right here for you. Oh, you're muted. Nikki, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Internships are so big. I actually started it at our organization because they didn't have it. But here's what happens again. It's somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that got their son or daughter's friend of a friend of the next door neighbor in. And it's always that networking. So what I would like to see our communities do is have a list of where folks work at, always on our charters and inside of our churches and everything. It's very important that we maintain a charter. Like back in the day, the way that we navigated, I'm a Martin Day soldier. I used to love Martin Luther King and how they were able to navigate through the churches. That whole movement was a church movement. So if you go back to the old days and you think about the charters and people, and somebody always knew somebody over in Alabama or somebody over in Sanford or that could get him to where he needed. That's exactly what we need to do today. We need to be more navigative or navigators of our community. And we need to establish repositories where people can come to gather information. So when we talk about internships, they're very hush-hush. People don't advertise it because they'll get a slew of people coming in. Like we had 10 interns this year and they were in data science. It blew my mind away. I would have loved to have, could you imagine if we could have just got 1 or 2 African-American kids in data science? Data science is a field that's artificial intelligence. And it may sound very, very brainy, but it's really not. Data science is the manipulation of data. It's the same things our kids are doing on Facebook and Instagram. So there you go, catch them right there. Data science is the same thing that your kids are doing on Instagram, TikTok, all of it. All they're doing is taking people's information and they're sorting through who they want to talk to based on their criteria of information that they've put out. Hey, my name is Nikki. I'm single. I'm 22. I have blonde hair. That's how you get the charter of information. You have to have people that are in those companies and making certain that we are sharing to that so we can grow. And I see the reaction. It's true. It's the Underground Railroad. It's the railroad. It's us being more active than we've ever been. This year's Black History Month theme is resistance through art. And so resistance is a very strong word, but it is our resistance to fail to exist in a capitalist society where they continue to, sorry to say this, enslave us. The only way that we got free was the Underground Railroad and a couple of abolitionists, people like me and Fola, who get together and say, let's invite her. She's a wealth of knowledge and let's keep sharing and let's keep sharing. Every day we have to get up and do our part. And if there are people, I know there are companies that have internships, maybe that might be something that I can add to my, I have a list that I've been compiling for over the last 25 years of companies that do internships. Also too, there are organizations, the Greek fraternities, the Kappas, Alphas, they have charters that you can tap into of people who may know of organizations that do internships. There are also, when I was at the MBA conference, I sat with a group of kids from Howard University, and they all got internships somehow. And I asked them how were they able to do it. And a lot of it is the networking within their family structure, their churches, their organizations, their Black organizations, their fraternities, the sororities, anything that's associated with a group of people that represent serving the community. Those are great ways. Then also too, you might even be bold enough there's no telephone anymore, but you can reach out to organizations. That's why I love LinkedIn, because you can connect with somebody in TA like myself that people do, and they ask a question, they'll send their resume and say, hey, this is my son, they have this experience. And that's what ends up happening is the networking that we didn't get a chance to talk about, but being a great networker is the best way to have opportunities presented for yourself and your kids.
Wow, awesome. I'm learning a lot, and I'm getting feedback. I'm checking my phone, and folks are sending in feedback and how this has been blessing them, and all the information you're sharing and how they're utilizing it. I am just super excited that we're able to connect and bring this wealth of knowledge to our community. You talked about networking, and I just want to pick up from there. Our community, again, it could be like a cultural background thing, but we're not also sold on getting out of our comfort zone and just going out there in front of somebody, knocking on their door, banging, and standing in front of their face, banging, like, you got to give me audience. And so it's still like a struggle, like, okay, how do I do this, And most folks just tend to stay back and stay where they are and think the blessing is going to come to them. Thank God for church. Thank God for Solomon's Porch, restoring lives and transforming community. And it's opening up this door to bring people in and see how we can get this information out there. So my question to you, Nikki, can you explain to those on this line, the benefits of networking?
Let me tell you, I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to give you homework today, this community. I want you to go out and find 10 people, whether they be famous, rich, or whatever, somebody that you like. You can follow me. I don't care. You can go follow Denzel Washington. But I want you to go and find 10 people that you want to follow. Now, you can either follow them on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn, because people are following people now. Or you can, what if you admire your pastor and you just want to spend the day in a life with her to see what her life is like being the first lady at a church? You want to have experience. So the only way you're going to have experience is to network and to follow people. Remember, we used to call it shadowing. I'm going to shadow you for the day. Yeah. So now they call it following. We call it shadowing. So every day I make it a point to listen to one of my followers to see what it is. And they're highly influential people, by the way, very, very influential. And my list changes too, but of those 10 followers, I'm getting advice, I'm being mentored. And if there were some that didn't have the material that suited me when I followed them, then I'd unfollow them. Unfortunately, you can unfollow people in this world and you can follow new people. But following people and gathering information, reading their blogs, the saddest thing is that I watch a lot of people do it on their phones with TikTok. They sit and they just, and they're scrolling and they're just pow, 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 aimlessly. Well, that's the devil's workshop, in my opinion, and it's a waste of time. I would much rather follow people that are going to help me build my wealth and my generational wealth so that I can leave something behind. I'd much rather follow someone who's going to give me some advice on how to be a better speaker or how to network within the Nigerian community. I got to be honest about something. When I went to the National Black Association, out of all the people that I've stayed in touch with, that have nourished and fed into me, I fed into them, it's about 10 Nigerian women and men. It wasn't the African American people of my culture that came to me and told me, "Oh, you're such a great speaker." Blah, 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 blah. It was the people that reached out to me that we had different cultures, and just like you said, you're not necessarily going to be in my face like, "Nikki, can you do this?" But you invited me to something that was very near and dear to my heart. And so look at the networking that now is going to take place. If I can get 10 people from this that are interested in following me, which one of, thank you very much, I fooled you. Thank you for following me. If I could just get 10 people who follow me and then they tell 10 other people and 10 other people and 10 other people, then that's an audience that the next time I get ready to do a live or a show or a public speaking, then I can publicize it and they can get even more information. You know, I started following a whole bunch of of Black women on LinkedIn who have the business that I have. And then I would get on and ask them, "Hey, how do I do it?" And they're looking at me like, "You should be telling us how we should do it. You got all, you got the juice. So if you think you don't have something and then you get confirmation from people who are already doing it, if somebody can see it in you and you can't see it in yourself, it's really sad. First, remember I told you about being self-aware and having confidence and believing in yourself.
That's right.
So that when you get ready to start following people, you have intellectual conversation. It's something that you can add to in a blog. It's something that instead of reposting something that doesn't make any sense to our people or progressing us, repost something that matters. Repost some of the 20 tips, write them down and share them with your friends. Wouldn't it be nice if you had lunch with a friend and they said to you, "I'm having a hard time following a job," and say, "Hey, we had a conference at my church and here are 10 tips that I can tell you right now that can help you get a job." Misconceptions. Redo your resume and write it in a plain text form. That was one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't add a picture. Don't add graphics.
I already have my action item from this weekend. Someone had asked their slides to share, but I was taking notes and stuff like that. So I don't know if you had any slides that you wanted to share with us, or they can just watch the recording. It's your
Yeah, they have the recording, and then the PowerPoint. You guys do have that, so I don't have any. You can email that out, and then also too. Some of the information like citing you can cite, but I can cite some of the reference points. A lot of the work that I do and the research comes from very sought out people who are trending and putting these things forth, like the diversity recruiting was I followed Forbes magazine. Forbes magazine is one magazine that's going to tell you about the dead, honest to God truth about who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong and who's being sued for saying they're doing it right and they're doing it wrong. And one of the articles I read about was Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo Bank recently got snapped because they were having people interview for jobs that they weren't really going to get a job for. Wouldn't that be awful if you showed up for an interview and they're just pretending to interview only because you're African American? And I wanted to share something with you, and I wanted to ask how your audience feels about this. Do you know that when I'm recruiting for African American people, that Nigerians and Kenyans are not considered African American? Like, I can't use them as a diversity. I'm going to say that one more time.
Say that again.
Do you know that companies do not consider Nigerians, Kenyans, because they do not consider you a part of, okay, this is going to get to a lot of politics because I asked the same question because I had a job opening and I put a Nigerian, they could clearly see that it was Nigerian. They were like, they're not considered Black, African American. I'm like, why are you saying that? Because they come from a foreign country. They don't originate from the United States. And I'm saying, my God, today, do you see how the capitalistic society has now done what to us? So now, if you were to apply for a job, there are some companies who define their African Americans as not Nigerians, not Kenyans, not not even Haitian, Jamaican.
We also have Ghanaians on the line, and we have South Africa. So you're saying that we're not considered as
And some companies, the way that, yep, it's not the color, it's your nationality. Yep, what in the world? I said the same thing. I argued up and down with one of my leaders. I said, you've lost your mind. We derive from there. Well, what do you want me to say? I am who I am because of these nations of when you brought me over here. So now I can't revert back to them and say that these are my people and they're in the United States now. It is the craziest thing. I'd like to bring forth some more research on that if I could, follow and present something to people who are interested in that, because they should be asking that question. I'm Nigerian. Identify, I'm Nigerian. Do I fit your diversity's charter?
Wow.
And that is, yeah.
Let me note
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so there are a lot of companies who, again, don't consider, you in the scheme of diversity.
Wow.
So we'll follow up on that one. I'll make a note.
Yeah, I'm noting that down. We'll definitely follow up on that one. Okay, a couple of things. Still, more folks are responding. So the teens and twins and 20s, they're no longer using their breakout room. They're here with us in this main room, and their facilitator is here on the line, Dr. Wright. I just want to quickly give you an opportunity, Dr. Wright. Are there any specific questions that your kids are asking? They would like Nikki to respond to? I know we've shared a lot, but just want to give you that opportunity. Dr. Wright? If you were talking, Dr. Wright, you're muted. All right, I'm checking to see if she's still on here. Okay. All right, we'll just keep going because we can't be in two rooms at the same time. So I was
That's okay. If there's any particular topics, particularly with children, if I can address one too, but just recently that has come up. Because of the artificial intelligence that's happening within our nation and kids being so open to join certain applications, gamers, YouTubers. So now we're creating a very biased. So remember, artificial intelligence and roboting works from data. So if they're pulling in your kids' data at such a young age, we're already infecting generations of generations. I want you to start thinking about this and be very careful how kids are utilizing their social media platform. Because if those kids use the social media platform in a way that's inappropriate, it's going to follow them for the rest of their lives. We always say that. And then remember how I just said to you, if I could get 10 people just to follow me from this, and then they get 10 other people, it's a landscape of multiplying. So the multipliers then begin to log into our artificial intelligence, and that's what's creating the bias. Because they're too young to make adequate decisions about their life, just like you said to the parents, hey, I need you to sign a consent. Well, guess what? Bots are not asking for consents from your children. They're taking their information, they're taking their pictures, they're taking their habits of waking up every day. That's how you get a kid addicted. That's artificial intelligence. They're saying to them, oh, well, Kiki's online every day at 11 because she feels sad. So let's just throw some antidepressant medication commercials to her. Let's just throw some, Nike shoes. That's how they're manipulating our kids' minds by artificial intelligence. They're already drawing up profiles and they're creating a biased system. So kids now, when they grow up, when they're 10 years old, they'll be 20 by the time they're 20, will live in a state like China, where everything is based on your behavior. So credit at my company is based on not your FICO score, but your behavior. Can you imagine? In China, credit and the way that they move around the country is based on their facial recognition. That's why a lot of people thought Chinese had the virus before because they wore masks. The reason why they wore masks is because their facial recognition was in every camera, and that's how they would judge whether or not they were worthy to move around the city, if they could have credit, if they were communist or non-communist. So we are moving to a state-controlled society. One more example. You don't see a lot of police officers around anymore driving and probing the area because they're using artificial intelligence now so that they don't have to have cops. What they do is they shoot out a 10-mile radius of people whose cars aren't registered, people who violated the red lights. Remember, you get these camera shots of you violating. So every single thing that we're doing in society now is being built and based on artificial intelligence. And you can best believe that they're already drawing profiles for your kids. So when your kids are putting their name, their age, their color, what color do I like? Do I prefer white boys, black boys? They're taking all that data to manipulate it to present to the children what they think our society should have. So if our kids aren't talking about technology anymore, you want to know why? Because every single day they're putting up the newest influencer who just made $1 million, or they're putting up the latest tennis shoe that everybody's trying to buy. It's an agenda, and we create it by allowing it to happen. We allow it to happen because we're not monitoring what information we're putting out, or we're allowing our kids to put out. So we've got 10 years of history. If you've got a 10-year-old online, they're going to take it all the way and create a whole society for us based on their behavior. Remember, artificial intelligence is the way you move through a system. They don't know anything about us until we give them the information.
That is a lot to soak up, to soak in at this point.
They're enslaving our children again. That's creating the society that we have come from is happening in the internet.
Wow. I'm shocked, but I'm just taking that in. And I guess there's a follow-up question, like, how do we prevent our data? But that from, going out there, going in the wrong place. But that's a conversation for another day. I know that
kids, you can give them screen time as well, too.
Okay.
And I know that there are parent apps, and you should really look into those that monitor when that phone goes off and on and when they can have internet time. And it should be internet time that's productive, not just wasted time looking at other people's picture and then making sure that we use it in a way that is beneficial and not degrading, like, or demolishing us. Like, you think it's unharmful for a 10-year-old just to sit there and look at emojis or look at, I want my hair braided like this. And so we go on Instagram and we're looking at hair braids. All that data is being collected in self-imaging and body imaging. That's how we get the society. We got a very distracted society of anxious children who can't, and I'm waiting to see how all of this is going to happen. And you're right, Charmaine, the data mining is just out of control. I actually joined an organization, and I'll get that information out to you guys. Like I said, a young African woman created it, and she's fighting against Capitol Hill about all the way that artificial intelligence is used. Artificial intelligence is used to control who's going to get health care. Hospitals are now starting to use it to weed out the sickest patients and go with the patients that are more likely to survive. I know that sounds very scary, but we're coming into a biased society. That's why I got out of healthcare when I saw the disparate effect that it was creating for people like my mom, who didn't have a fighting chance and died of COVID the first round because she was African American in a nursing home. And I guess they thought those people weren't worth it, so they didn't put much clout into it. Remember all the people who died in the nursing home? Well, my mom was one of them. So that's why I'm an advocate for making sure that people understand just how powerful technology is and how great it is. If we control it, it can't control us.
I'm sorry to hear about your loss. I'm sure that must have been a difficult time, but I'm glad that God has been strengthening you, and I'm still praying for comfort and support I'm sending some love your way. 'Cause
Thank you. My mom has made me everything I am today. It is because of her that I'm here today, because I saw a huge gap of how our people were treated in the hospitals. And it's very, very sad. You know, they, not to change subjects, but like the pandemic about African Americans and how weak we were. It wasn't that we were weak, it's that we weren't getting adequate care. We weren't closing gaps in care to solve our issues that were pre-existing, if you hear that word, in order to get to where we were at with the illnesses. But no, focusing back on the kids, we've got to stop this mindless data mining. I'm going to say with Charmaine, because that's what it's turned into. So just imagine throwing your kids into the minefields, because that's what it is.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do have a request from the kids, the teens and 20s facilitator. Wondering if you can stop by their room for maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe just interact with them, ask some questions. And Nikki, if you would not mind, it might be great if we spend some time with the kids, spend some time, and if you could we could jump together into the women group again, just spend maybe 5-10 minutes with them.
Sure.
And then we could circle back into this meeting room as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
How do I get into the breakout room? I did copy the links.
Yeah, I would post the link to the women Zoom.
Okay.
Everything is multimedia. For those on the line, this room is going to remain open if you still want to stay out here, because we're still coming back. But with Nikki, it will just so that we can make sure that everyone gets a taste of her and all the juice that she's giving us and the tips. So we want to drop into the breakout rooms and just have a conversation with them. So it's on the screen right now for the men. If you want to join the support group, men, the women, and then the twins and 20s. So I'll post for the twin and 20, Nikki, and then we'll both jump into that.
Okay.
Let me just do this right here. And I'm sure multimedia must have dropped it in the chat, but I think I have zoomed past it or scrolled past it and I can't find it anymore. So I'm just typing it in real quick. Jay. Nice.
Oh, is it the children 6 to 13 or?
I wanted us to join the twins.
There we go. Okay, I see.
You see it?
If I click on that, I can get into that.
Yeah, you can get into that room and I'll join you in a second.
And
Okay,
it says
there it is. It's just posted there.
Admit.
Let me admit Wumi. Okay, so the children, I see the children here. So I'm gonna go in. Well, sorry, we're going into the teens and 20s, and then when we're done there, you and I will go into the children.
Okay.
And we'll check the women, and I'll ping to see if the men wants us to drop in as well. Just say some things, and then we come back to the meeting room here to join folks that still have other questions.
All right, I'm going now.
Okay, I'm also going in, right. So for folks that are still in the meeting room, feel free to
just click. I'll just click that Zoom link. Is that correct?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It's going to take you straight in there. I believe so. Let's see. We'll try that too. So for folks here, if you want to stay here, that's fine. We're going to come back shortly, but I'll encourage us. You can drop into the women support group room. The children, if you have your kids with you, you can join them there if you want to be with them. For the men, you can also join them, and then we'll be back. Thank you.